let's start by learning a little bit about you, who you are, and where you grew up, which I know this is a part that will be very interesting to folks because you grew up
in Wendell.
Right here in Wendell. You were a homegrown girl.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about what that was like, how things were here, what kind of community it was.
Well, I grew up here, and my mom's family grew up here, so I think everybody knew my mom's family, the Dormans, and I have started out at Carver Elementary School, the real Carver, and still have some of the same friends from elementary school, and throughout middle school I went to high school at Heritage, which was Baptist Temple, but and then graduated from East Wake High School in '94.
And something big happened in your life next.
Yeah.
Which some people experience later in life and some people never experience it all.
Right.
But, you became a mother.
Yes. So I was 8.5 months pregnant whenever I graduated from high school. At the time, I don't know, I thought it was a good idea. I think looking back, it was just, I was desperately looking for some attention and a change in what was going on in my life at the time. And in my 17-year-old mind, the perfect idea was to have a baby. So, okay.
So it happened and was it kind of the beginning of what you might see as a challenging life?
Yes, definitely. Kendall was born with cerebral palsy, and he was hearing impaired due to lack of oxygen to the brain during childbirth. And so I grew up, there's a hereditary disease that runs in my family, spastic paraplegia. So my brother had it, my mom had it, my grandmother, lots of family members. So I was used to the handicap. So it was just second nature to me. So it wasn't like I did what I had to do. I was 18 and a very young and young-minded mother. And I did what I had to do. I took him to the doctor's appointments, and he walked with crutches, which seemed normal to me because I grew up around it with the hereditary disease. So, and I never had that nurturing, loving type feeling. But I did what I had to do as a parent. I didn't neglect or anything. But I just never I never really bonded, I guess.
You were going through the motions.
Yeah.
That you were somewhat already used to going
Exactly.
through. And you were raising your son here.
In Wendell.
Right? In Wendell. So your son, Kendall.
Yes.
What was it like caring for him? You've talked about going through the motions and getting him from point A to point B. Talk to us a little bit about just the care and what it was like and how demanding it was.
Well, it was, to me, just like I said, the normal things, the doctor's appointments and things like that, because that's what I was used to until he started when he was 12. So he walked with crutches and everything and was hearing impaired, but things started declining, and his father and I were divorced at that time, but joint custody, and we both started noticing things were changing with him. He was having trouble walking and was throwing up a lot, and so then the doctor's appointments became more frequent, and my mom would take him some, and his dad would take him some, and it slowly started dawning on us that something serious was wrong with him. And that's when it really became challenging, because I was like, okay, I think it's time for me as a mom. You know, it's time for me to step up some and stop putting it on everybody else, whoever was free at the time to, you know, his stepmom would take him. And we were getting different things from, you know, whenever somebody would come home from a doctor's appointment. Oh, they said, you know, keep an eye out on what he was eating. So it was time. I started noticing it was time for, I guess, for me to start being a real mom.
Yeah, so a switch flipped for you.
Yeah, it was, I started realizing that there's this kid that, like, I made, and I was putting him, I was doing the bare minimum, and I was putting him off on everybody else, and something just clicked, and it was time to be a mom.
He was no ordinary kid. I mean, this kid was heart.
Yes, he was pretty awesome.
Tell us about the kind of person he was and what kind of things mattered to him.
He was just the most giving kid, and I say this all the time. I know everybody thinks their child is awesome, but really mine was the most awesome. And I feel like part of that I missed out on by just being that barely there parent. And I always say I'm so thankful for every single thing that happened. I'm thankful for because it made that switch turn on, and it made me become a real mom. And I don't think I would have been that otherwise if he wouldn't have gotten sick. But that's when I started realizing how, like, cool this kid was. You know, his dad was remarried and had kids, and, you know, we'd be in the hospital and there'll be the treasure chest, you know, for the kids that are sick, and he's picking out stuff for his brother and sisters, and instead of for himself, and the lemonade stands, and the donating the money. And Relay for Life, he had the lemonade stand. He helped sell popcorn at the Womanless Beauty Pageant, our first one. And every week we were at the hospital getting blood checks and transfusions, and every week we would have to take a cake or, you know, cupcakes or something for the nurses. I mean, he was just this amazing kid.
He was 12, 13 when he was diagnosed with a very rare blood disease, correct?
Yes.
And at that point, you not only changed, he changed as well. You guys kind of...
We became best friends. Where I was, you know, what can I do on the weekends that I don't have him, and sometimes on the weekends that I do have him. It was just, there was no more boyfriends or, you know, parties, or, I mean, there was nothing but me and him, and everything else just, you know, I don't know, it just, we were best friends. We did everything together, and didn't take him on vacations and stuff like that, because by this time he was so weak. He was in a wheelchair, and there was no way I was, you know, pushing a wheelchair around, especially by myself. And but all of a sudden I couldn't even imagine going anywhere without him. You know, we went, a girlfriend of mine wanted us to come to Georgia to the lake, and I was like, okay, and I'm pulling the wheelchair out and pushing it across the sand to the lake, and, you know, picking him up and carrying him up flights of stairs. And I wasn't doing it because I was like this awesome, like, amazing person. It's just that all of a sudden I can't imagine doing anything without him. Nothing. I wanted to do like I wanted to be just like him. I wanted to be just as cool as he was. He put everybody else first, and I wanted to put him first because I wanted to be like him.
But that in itself, how you just described yourself. Yeah, I mean, you are an amazing and you really are an amazing and awesome person because you wanted to be like him, and he put others first, which means you put others first. And
I tried. I just tried.
You're doing it every day, and we'll talk about that. I want to talk about specifically some of the things that your son was very passionate about, like the lemonade stand.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
So, I don't know, I can't remember what actually got it started. He loved to bake. You know, we were always baking for the nurses and other kids at the hematology clinic. And he decided he wanted to start doing lemonade stands. And so we had, and it was the real lemonade. He wanted, you know, we squeezed lemons all night long, and made, you know, brownies and cakes. And he got my aunt, who does a lot of baking, made her do some things, and he set up a little lemonade stand. Our church let him borrow a tiny little lemonade stand. And, you know, I put it out on Facebook, please stop by my son's lemonade stand, because we lived out in the middle of nowhere. So
right here.
And then he used all his money, you know, to get an electric lemonade squeezer, and he wanted to do it again. And so then his uncle made him a lemonade stand. That's what that one is. Made him a lemonade stand. Yes. So now he's a professional. But
how old was he at this time?
So 13, 14.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And he was doing this to raise money for
Relay for Life, and for to do stuff at the clinic. I mean, it was always for something different, whatever, for somebody else.
Yeah, for a good cause to help other people.
Yes.
How his illness was terminal, and they told you that. Talk a little bit about how the community here, local folks, rallied around and supported you during that time.
So that is essentially why I have this Pay It Forward project now, is because of Kendall's attitude to forgiving, and then also because of this community. And so we went to the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. He was air flighted there because UNC knew there was something wrong with him, and for a year he was getting sicker and sicker, and they couldn't figure out what exactly it was. So they air flighted him to Philadelphia, and we stayed there for a month, and we got the diagnosis that CRMCC. It's a very rare blood disease. He's number 28 to ever be diagnosed with it, ever. And they wanted him to go to Boston's Children's Hospital because there was a doctor there researching this particular disease. His dad and I talked about it, and we said, it's terminal. We know it's terminal. We're not going to make him a guinea pig. And we both agreed and prayed about it and everything. We said, okay, that's the right thing. And that year he just kept getting sicker and sicker. And, you know, he was just my best friend. He was, you know, and I couldn't take it. I couldn't stand to see it. And so I just put it out there that, you know, with my friends and stuff, I think we need to go to Boston, and we don't have the money. By this time I'm not working hardly any, because he stays in the hospital, you know, 200 plus days out of the year. But I think we need to go to Boston. And I don't know how we're going to get there. I don't know. I can't afford to go. I can't afford to leave my 15 hours that I'm working. And, you know, and I had some friends that rallied together and surprised Kendall and I with they had been raising money for I don't know how long, and gave us enough money to go to Boston and for me to pay all my bills for the month, and without having to worry about anything while we were gone. We were gone for a month, and that it was just unbelievable how they did that. Why? And then when we were left UNC for the very last time with hospice. We left in June, and he was turning 18 in July, and we had to move his party up several weeks because we didn't know if he would make it to his party.
Right.
And I said, I would really like to surprise him with an 18th, we have to, this is his wish. He understands what's happening to him and what's going to happen. He wants to graduate from high school. He wants a class ring. He wants a cake with an eagle on it. And he wants to drive. And so we've got to make this happen, and I want to surprise him. I found a golf cart, and some friends painted it for him, put flames on the side. Somebody volunteered to make him a cake with an eagle on it. Friends got together and got high school graduates together, and we had a pretend graduation. Hundreds, and I'm not kidding, hundreds of people showed up for the surprise birthday party. People I don't even know. They just put the word out and said, we've got to make this happen for this kid. And again, it was just this community, and they were just rallied together and they made it happen. And again, it's, to this day, I have got to continue paying it forward for what everybody has done and what they did for him.
And you're doing it. There's Relay for Life.
Mm-hmm.
Huge. You guys have raised so much money. Talk to us about your team and the group of people that you're working with, and talk about some of the things that you've absolutely loved while you've been doing it.
Okay.
Which I can't wait to talk about this part. I want to know something about the Womanless Beauty pageant, but we'll get to that.
Okay. The first time we raised money, Allison was actually on a team and doing Relay. I didn't even know what Relay for Life was. And she said, let's do a Pink October. And so we figured we'd do at that time was the little extensions, the kid and the feathers that the kids were wearing. And so we did that, and Kendall had a little lemonade stand and sold, lemonade, and we raised like over $600. And Allison and I got to talking, and we're like, well, rather than giving that money to the team that she was on at the time, why don't we start our own team? And I was like, why don't we? Let's do it. What are we going to do next? And then we started brainstorming, and that's when we realized, I think that's when Alice and I realized that we have a very warped mind when you put our two minds together. Because I had seen, I think a year or so before, I had seen a womanless beauty pageant in Wake Forest. Mm-hmm. Some firefighters put it on or something. And I was like, we should totally do a womanless beauty pageant and get some bigwigs in town to do it. Now, I would have never have expected for it to turn out the way it did. I mean, it was phenomenal. It was awesome. We had the mayor. He agreed to be in it. He wore my aunt's dress, a sequin dress for it, and Jody Wall. I mean, they did an amazing job. And then the guy that won, he come up with, realized that his company actually would match funds. Mm-hmm. So, he raised all this money, and then Duke Energy actually matched his funds, and so he alone raised several $1,000s by himself.
All right, we are here in a packed house, the Wendell Community Center, for the Womanless Beauty Pageant, and I am here with contestant Timberly. This is Mayor Tim Hennett, who is coming out for a great cause. Timberly, I will let you tell us what this whole shindig is about.
This is for the American Cancer Society. It's a wonderful cause. If you can tell, we've got a packed house here. We've got a bunch of wonderful contestants. We really appreciate everybody coming out, and it's for a great cause. And for that being said, I appreciate all of you being here.
And these are local folks.
Yes, right here in town. And I mean,
great sports.
Yes, it was awesome. It was just, I was like, let's get them to do something else.
Well, here's what I want to know.
Okay.
Who has been your absolute favorite contestant?
Okay, so I think we're a little biased in it. It's probably obvious who our favorite is because he's been in both, and that's Petey.
I knew it.
Yeah.
He's my favorite.
Yes, he is awesome. I mean, his baton twirling. I mean, really.
I know. That was very memorable for me. Good deeds and good causes catch like wildfire.
Yeah, okay, so we are firm believers in, we can raise money and we can have fun doing it. It doesn't have to be boring, and it doesn't have to be sad. And we want, the bigger the better, and let's have fun doing it,
Well, you guys are doing it. You're very well known locally. You're almost like a local celebrity. You are, because of Relay for Life and the Womanless Beauty Pageants. I mean, those are huge in the area.
Right.
People love them because they're so fun.
Yeah.
And they raise money for a fantastic cause.
Right.
Tell us about the Kindle Project.
So the Kindle Project is a pay it forward project.
Named after your son.
Yes.
This is about your son.
This is all about Kindle. So again, with the community that pulled together for us when we needed help more than once, and for Kindle, who was constantly given, he was doing for others. And so I was like, what can I do to keep his memory alive? And with the disease that he had, I have the hardest time speaking in past tense. He got over 400 units of blood in the 4 or 5 years that he was sick. Mm-hmm. And so the first thing that I did on the 1 year anniversary of losing him was have a blood drive. And that's when the Kindle Project kind of got started. And so every year, either on his birthday or on the anniversary of losing him, we have a blood drive. And I do it on one of those 2 days because that gives me, those 2 days are so significant,
Yeah.
And they're so close together, July 11th and July 30th. And so I figure if I do something on one of those days, that takes care of that day and what I'm going to do that day.
It occupies your mind.
Yes.
And your thoughts.
And this, and I keep saying, I say this all the time. I do this stuff because this is what keeps me sane. And people say, oh, I don't know how you do this, and and it's very selfish. I feel like the reason why I do this is for selfish reasons. It's because if I didn't do this, I would lose my mind. And sometimes I still do. Sometimes, I don't want to get out of bed. Sometimes I'm jealous of parents. And sometimes I don't want to talk to anyone, and being a hairdresser, that's not a good thing. I have lost clients because they feel like I don't talk enough or whatever. And then there's clients that say I don't shut up. So it depends on, it depends on where I'm at that day, whether, But so the Kindle project is a pay it forward project, and I'm actually trying to transition some of the stuff that I was doing just for Relay over to the Kindle project. So rather than just everything going to the American Cancer Society, with the Kindle project, like we have the Wendell Ninja Warrior 5K that we started last year, which is, again, it's got to be over the top. Nothing's boring with us. We had, obstacle courses and crawling through mud and things like that. So instead of, whoever does that next year, we might do Make-A-Wish and sponsor a child, and that money go to Make-A-Wish. And then when we do the Womanless Beauty Pageant again, we'll designate that to American Cancer Society, to Relay for Life. So we're going to try to spread the love.
You have something going on with Kindle Project right now, don't you?
Yes, we're doing toy donations for the Ronald McDonald House and UNC Children's Hospital, because that's where we lived practically for several years.
Take care of you.
Yes, so we're paying it forward to them. And we do toys. I take toys for all ages. My mom, she does it all year. I mean, the garage is full. Well, not full, but there's lots of boxes already in the garage, and where she just picks up stuff throughout the year for the donations. And everybody else I ask, to do toys and things for teens. And I usually throughout the year pick up little items for parents, because parents are there too. Parents are spending Christmas at the hospital too. So
how long are you accepting donations for this toy drive for the Kindle Project?
So I always drop them off on Christmas Eve morning.
Okay, so right up until Christmas Eve morning, people can drop off what kind of toys? Wrapped, unwrapped?
Unwrapped. They don't like them wrapped. And it's toys for all ages, and they always run short of stuff for teenagers. So like, t-shirts and pajama pants and things like that. It's a good thing for teenagers.
And where do they bring them?
To Clip Chick Salon in Wendell. Gotta love Wendell.
Which is right on Wendell Boulevard.
Yes.
Right at Main Street.
Yes. 3541 Wendell Boulevard, and I have a bucket that I keep up there. There was at one time they would let us go around from room to room and actually have the kids at the hospital, but they stopped letting us do that. But so we drop them off at the hospital and drop it off at, and I have to pack my mom's van full of stuff, so it's pretty awesome.
It is awesome. I mean, everything. You are one of the most, and this is a compliment, you're one of the most modest people I've ever spoken to, because you talk about how wonderful your son was, and he truly was an amazing kid. I mean, he was 13 years old, and just wanted to, most people couldn't take it, being sick, and he just wanted to give back, and
all the time.
And you talk about how great that is, and that's great, but you're here now and you're carrying the torch, and I know your son is a lot of what motivates that for you, but that's your choice, and you're doing anything and everything to make other people feel important and feel valued and know that life is good. Like you've got this thing on your wall back there, it says life is a beautiful ride.
So the Gary Allen song came out when he first got sick, and that became our song, and that was actually played at his funeral. So, because that is just so significant to me, because that's when I started, when that switch came on, and that's when I started realizing that it's not always awesome and it's not always perfect, but it is such a beautiful ride. And I mean, it really is, because, you know, you could think, people say, you know, I don't know how you do it, but, and how you made it through him being sick. And I'm just thankful every single solitary day that he got sick. So thankful for it, because it made that ride so beautiful. And even though it, you know, it could have been hard, and sometimes it was hard, you know, I lost my mind several times, but it was just beautiful, because it made that switch come on, and it made me realize how important every single solitary moment was. I mean, I am obnoxious to this day with pictures, because everything is important. And if everybody knew that they were not guaranteed the next day with their child, I think it would be more important to everyone. You know, you just don't know. And it's just, it makes it a beautiful ride. Even though it sucks sometimes. And even though you spend 42 days in the hospital, and Thanksgiving dinner is, you know, at UNC Hospital, it's just beautiful, because, you know, I've got this kid who's passing out snowflakes to other sick kids to make sure they're happy. And that I wouldn't have seen if he wouldn't have gotten sick. I wouldn't have experienced any of that if he wouldn't have gotten sick. So it's a pretty beautiful ride. It is.
Well, you can see it in everything you do. At least I can. I mean, you can. I mean, you're really, I mean, and I'm sure people would say it about your son. These people who saw your son at his best, people who saw your son at his worst, there's still that consistent giving nature. And you are carrying that forward, and you're making other people, you're motivating other people to pay it forward.
Right.
Which, who couldn't say that it's a beautiful ride when you see that happen?
Right.
I mean, it's an amazing thing to be able to see that happen. I mean, you got to see that happen with your son. So, definitely a beautiful ride.
It is.
One thing we've got to touch on, and this kind of speaks to your local celebrity status, is that you won the prestigious Mayor's Award.
Hi, my name is Allison Klepchik. I'm the owner here at Klepchik Salon, where Kathe works. We've worked together probably 5 years now. She's one of my very best friends. We've done a lot together. I've seen her through a lot of rough times, and she's always comes out on top, because I think it's because she's got a wonderful attitude. She wakes up every morning, gonna conquer the day, smile on her face. She got Citizen of the Year because of her efforts in the community. She's a member of a Relay for Life team that we started about 5 years ago, Pirates of the Caribbean. She also is on the planning board for Wendell. She helps out with the Wendell Chamber of Commerce, and forever trying to arrange something for people to do, either downtown or up here at the shop. Always trying to get people together. So she's a great party starter.
So how did you find out that you were gonna? When did you find out?
Oh my goodness! I don't know how people are able to keep secrets from me, because I cannot keep a secret to save my life. I was helping last year volunteered with the chamber, and I actually volunteered to help decorate for last year's banquet. And I was there just chilling. I think, I might have been whispering to Allison something cheesy to make her laugh, when all of a sudden, Tim, I literally had no idea. Wow. Tim was up there giving his speech about who was getting, and I know Tim because he was in a Womanless Beauty pageant. I'm
sorry. Our flashback, yes.
Our mayor.
Very memorable.
Yes, and so he said, and I'm whispering to Allison or something, and my back was towards him, and he said something about, I'm not going to say what this person does because you automatically know who it is, but I 100% agree, or something. I don't know. I've got the little speech. I keep it on my refrigerator. But after the first sentence, it was something about, you know, what she's done since losing her son or something like that. And like I could feel the heat. I was, you know, I was leaning over, you know, being disruptive as usual. And I was talking to Allison, and then I heard something about, you know, losing her son, and I could feel the heat coming up, and I was like, I think he's, and then all of a sudden I'm like, oh my God, have I got, like, you know, and he kept on talking, and anytime anybody talks about Kendall, I get, you know, I can feel the heat coming off of me, and all I was thinking was, oh God, please let him shut up now, because I'm gonna have to stand up, and I'm sure there's like pools of sweat coming off of me. Please stop. And it was just a beautiful letter, whoever wrote it. I don't know who it was, but and I didn't even want to stand up and get it by the end of his little speech, but that's how I found out. I had no idea. And it was pretty awesome. And, you know, I got up and
It is awesome. I mean, it's a big deal. It's still a fairly small community, but it's grown and it's growing, and of everybody.
Yeah.
You were like Person of the Year, Citizen of the Year.
Oh, I know.
And I mean,
I don't know why they didn't have a parade for me.
you're gonna be a tough one. I mean, I don't know, you know, who's gonna come to the surface and be next year's Diamond, but you're gonna be a tough one to beat.
Oh.
I mean, everything that you're doing, and the Kindle Project, and just your spirit and your positive attitude.
It's not always positive.
I know, and see, I knew you were gonna say that. I just knew it. You're so modest. You are seemingly always positive, and just you're a great person to be around. And I imagine it's probably pretty difficult, because I'm sure you still hit moments when you don't feel positive and you feel negative, and yet you find yourself being challenged by life and the universe, and even in that moment, to other people, you're probably the most positive person and the most giving person and caring person, and that Kathe, she's just doing for others, you know, and in your mind, you're just Kathe.
Yeah, I'm somebody trying my best to make it through the day without losing my mind. That's what I think.
Well, keep on keeping on. Seriously, you're really you're a ray of light in the community. I'm sure everybody would say that. The mayor and whoever wrote that letter obviously thinks so.
Oh yeah, there you go. And I'm gonna, that's awesome. Thank you so much.
And thanks for having us in your home, and
thank y'all.
Making us feel so welcome. For some reason, we're not the first people that have felt so welcome in your home, and we won't be the last. That's just the kind of person you are. You would say not, but you are.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Kendall was a great kid. He always trying to make you smile or make you laugh or telling a joke. Always trying to help somebody. Baking cookies, having a lemonade stand. He helped us out at our very first Relay for Life big event that we did. We did the Womanless Beauty Pageant, and he was there and front and center watching his mom. And I just remember he was helping sell the baked goods, at the popcorn. So that was cute. But he was a great kid, and that's kind of what her Kindle project is paying it forward, because he liked to do so much for others. Now she is doing so much in his honor.